What's up, YouTube? It's Chris with Murphy Firearms Training. I have two guns here, two Magnum revolvers. This is a 454 Casull. It is pushing 25 years old. This is a 460 Smith & Wesson. I bought it used, but it had very few rounds passed through it when I bought it, and I haven't passed too many through it because it's an unported snub-nosed 460 Smith & Wesson, and ouch. But anyway, I wanted to show you something because I've had some questions about used revolvers from people in the past. And I want to kind of show some close-ups and explain something when you're dealing with Magnum revolvers, especially used ones, some things to look for. So I'm going to start on the older gun, the 454 Casull. So we're going to come in here and we're looking at two things. First thing we're going to look at right here is we're going to look at the forcing cone. So this piece right here is your forcing cone. And you're going to look at this, and what you're looking for is any rough spots, any erosion. Especially if it's a used gun, you're looking for any cracks. So like if you see there's a crack in here or a chip, that gun has been abused, it's shot over pressure rounds, or it's just been shot till it's worn out. So you're looking at that forcing cone. If you look at this one, you'll see a little rough spots. There's a few rough spots. Let me get in here with the pick. Around this side here, if you look, at the close-up here, you'll see this looks kind of rough, okay? And if you feel it with your finger, it feels kind of rough. It's going to feel like maybe 200 grit sandpaper, okay? That's what we call forcing cone erosion. Not a lot on this gun considering the pressure that we shoot it at and the number of rounds that's been through it. But you're looking for that, especially when you have certain conditions. You'll see more of that than others. For its age and the number of rounds that I know have been through this gun, the forcing cone is actually in really good shape. So the second thing I want to show you is the big one. It's called top strap cutting or flame cutting. And I'm going to turn the gun kind of like this and try to get the camera in here. And what we're looking at, this is your top strap right here, okay? And the top strap here, when your bullet exits your cylinder, there's a gap between the cylinder and the forcing cone. And hot gases go out in every direction. Well, over here, there's nothing but air. Over here, there's nothing but air. Down here, it kind of goes down, but there's a gap. Up here, those hot gases hit the top strap. And what I want to show you is there's this line. You already see this line that cuts straight across here. Okay, this line that cuts straight across here. Okay? So this line is called top strap cutting. And if you take this pick and run it across there through that line, it's really, really rough. I mean, you can feel it. And if you listen, that's about 1/1000 or 2/1000 deep. It's actually cut into the top strap, those hot gases, and the pick falls into that gap. And when you try to pull it back out, it catches. Okay, so it's a few thousandths deep. For a gun like this, 65,000 PSI that's been shot a lot, that's not bad. But at a certain point, that depth gets bad enough that this top strap could actually come apart. So something you want to look for, if that's really, really deep, like deep enough that if I put the pick in it, the pick won't pop out, you might consider that that gun's worn out and it's not safe anymore. So that's top strap cutting or flame cutting, you'll hear people say. So now what I want to do is I'm going to pull that out of the frame, and I'm going to bring in the much newer 460 Magnum Smith & Wesson. I want you to look at its forcing cone. You're not going to see any rough spots. You're not going to see any erosion. It looks really good, okay? Really no rough spots. If you run something around this hole, you're not going to feel anything that feels rough, okay? Why? Because it hasn't been shot nearly as much, okay? It is just starting, because again, this is a very high pressure, 62,000 PSI. It is starting to develop. If we can get in here and see it, it's hard to see on this one because there's not a lot there. But there's a line right here. There's a line. It's very hard to see. Why? Because it's barely started. But there is some flame cutting. And if you listen, you hear the pick just, and it's not, you actually can see the pick fall into it if I hit it just right. Okay? And the worst place is going to be dead center, and it's going to be shallower towards the edges. So out here at the edge, there's nothing on this gun. It doesn't catch at all. In the center, It's just starting to develop that flame cutting, that little notch there. Okay, not as bad. Why? Because it hasn't been shot as much. So anyway, I wanted to show you guys that if you ever hear people talk about forcing cone erosion or flame cutting or top strap cutting on magnum handguns, that's what they're talking about. And of course, the worse that is, the more the gun's been shot, or in some cases, it's shot rounds that have been overpressured for it and there's been more gas than there should be. Do pay attention to that if you're buying one used. And if it's in really, really bad shape, especially if your forcing cone is chipped or cracked, do not buy it because it's going to need some pretty major repair. And if that top strap cutting is really deep, then you're getting to a point where the revolver is going to be towards the end of its life. It's going to need a new frame, which in essence is going to be buying a new gun. So anyway, I haven't seen a lot of guns that have been shot that much. I'm hoping that in my lifetime, this one will get like that just because I like it a lot and I like shooting it. But we'll see. But anyway, so I wanted to show you that, make sure you understood what those terms were in case you ever heard them and didn't know what they meant. So, guys, I appreciate your support. We appreciate you watching. Give us a like, subscribe, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them for me, and I'll be glad to answer them. Thanks, guys.